Hello and welcome to the True Symposium series. My name is Randy Leopando. I'm the True Training and Education Manager, and we are live, and for the first time, Facebook Live here at our showroom in Lake St. Louis. Today for our fourth episode, we're going to go over our premium cardio line known as the 900 series. It's a treadmill, elliptical, upright, and recumbent bike. Today, I have a very special guest, the founder and CEO of True, Frank Trulaske. Frank,
Thank you, Randy. Welcome everyone around the world, True distributors, True customers. We're excited to have you watching today. And we are very fortunate to be here at our showroom at Lake St. Louis. You can't quite see the lake, but it's really out there. Our employees get to watch people skiing, boating, fishing, all kinds of fun stuff while they're on our cardio.
It's good scenery. And Frank's been doing our introductions on previous symposiums, but this time he gets to stick around to tell us a little bit more about True. Also joining us is our Director of Product Development, Kueker. Nice to have him around at these things since he knows all the machines from top to bottom, every nut and bolt, and it's great to get his perspective and to learn more about the engineering aspects of everything. So, well, before we go over any of the pieces, Frank, what drew me to True as an employee is...
That wasn't easy.
I had to pay you to join
the
here.
rights to join, right?
Well, the True's got such a great story, it's got a history, and it's got a great philosophy. Can you kind of share with our viewers what I learned and what drew me to True?
I'll do my best, Randy. I think it goes way back to inception with my brother and I kind of developing the company over time. And the philosophy became pretty clear, and that philosophy continues today with all these new products that Jared's been developing and marketing, which has been a lot of fun and a lot of challenges. But it really drilled back, I think, in the early 80s to my brother and I had been working on a treadmill design for 5 years, and you could say, what were you guys doing over 5 years? You must have been loafing or didn't know what you were doing. It took so long. But the reason was because we were working another job with True Manufacturing day to day. So our hours were at night, Sunday night, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, for 5 years at least. I don't remember exactly. But after failing mega times, maybe 5, 6 evolutions over that time, we did achieve a great treadmill early on. And I said to my brother after that, if we're getting into this business and industry, we need our goal to be make the #1 treadmill on the market. I think that took quite a few years, at least in our minds. But that same philosophy is held true now with Jared and his team marketing. When we come out with a new product, I'm not trying to make it the second best one. It's going to be a little bit better. It's going to have some unique features over competitors that are going to give value and a great story for our sales guys and the customers.
So it took you 5 years to kick out that first treadmill. When was that about?
Probably went from 79 to 83. Somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So True's been around for 40 years. So when you started True, I think I entered kindergarten.
I remember seeing you.
You remember seeing me running around? I was one of your treadmill dummies. But, so over your 40 years, I'm sure you've had some fun, crazy experiences.
Yeah,
I've heard them, so maybe share a couple of them.
Well,
keep it PG rated too.
Probably most weren't true. But yeah, there probably were a couple worth mentioning. One was, I think it was in 86, 87, 85, 86, our local dealer sold a lot of treadmills. I won't go into how we helped them do it, but my brother and I basically delivered over 400 treadmills in those 2 years, at night, in the evening.
Just you and your brother?
Yeah, there was never anyone else, till a little bit later. And then there were so many to deliver, we split up. I would take 2 in the station wagon, he had a station wagon, and you had to kind of figure out how to do it. Could you get them in by yourself?
Holy cow.
A lot went into lower levels in ways you could if you needed somebody else. And I was fortunate that my brother was a lot stronger, so I talked him into carrying the heavy end, because they were even heavy back then.
Probably heavier.
Yeah.
Some
I mean,
cases.
another story, I don't know if this is that humorous, Randy, but we tried to get financing for a 1-acre lot when we were going to build a 12,000 square foot building. 3 banks turned us down. One bank said yes because he was a runner and he thought there was potential with this treadmill idea. Keep in mind, at that time, nobody was just starting, people were running outside. Nobody walked. It's hard to believe now. Nobody was walking outside. Never. And there was no treadmills in gyms, only upright bikes for the most part. So we were very fortunate to get that one guy at Landmark Bank that gave us a little bit of help getting that building. And that did end up, we stayed in that building for quite a few years before we moved out here.
Thank goodness for that guy. Now we're here 40 years later. It's nice. You know, one thing that, since I'm dealing with customers and gym owners and operators, one thing that people don't realize is, okay, so we have really nice machines that operate really well, they look great, but there's some stuff that needs to happen after the sale, and that's customer service. And I know that you've always really pushed for customer service, and tell me your philosophy on why it's important for our viewers to know how we conduct our customer service.
That's a good question, Randy. I think we didn't know it at the time early on, but customer first was our philosophy from the beginning. So here was just my brother and I with this company wearing a lot of hats. You don't want to hear everything I was doing, but it was a lot.
Kind of do, but you keep going.
But we were determined when people needed help, parts, you know, or any kind of service over the phone. My brother traveled to solve some issues around the Midwest or wherever. But we were sending parts out the same day or the next day, just like we're doing today, except now we've got data. There's a big group of people that track, 15,000 plus parts, and that's a real process, but we still believe it's critical, and our reputation's on the line to get things solved quickly. And even customer service has new software to track events to make sure these situations get closed really quickly.
That's great. It's really important for these gym owners and operators. Jared, what do we usually do? We got all these parts at our warehouse. What's the usual, the procedure? What happens when a customer calls for and needing parts?
Yeah, so when they call in, I mean, we have all the documentation ready for them, and the goal is to try and make sure we get all the parts out same day. So as long as it gets in before a certain time in the afternoon, every part is shipped that day. You know, I think 98-99% of all of our parts shipped are shipped same day from the time you get the order.
That's great. I've been in the gym business or in the gym scene for about 20 years, so we hate seeing the out of order signs on machines. So hopefully that will reduce that time for you guys, that if something happens, that we'll be able to ship a part out to you right away. That's very important. Less downtime on for your equipment in your facility. Well, let's so Frank, so the treadmill is pretty much the founding piece of True. And so there's a story in itself with our treadmill. I mean, why are users so drawn to our treadmill? Why do they like running on our treadmill so much?
That's a great question, Randy, and I hear this all the time. People are out in gyms, hotels, motels around the country, and they'll come back and say, you know, I ran on that other competitor, but I've run on yours, and I really prefer yours over the competitors. And I'm going, great, so why? And they go, well, it's just got a much more natural feel. So the way we've achieved that, and this was an early on investment and a focus of ours and continues today, is how can we make a treadmill even better than outside? It all has to do with the surface, the belt deck. You know, we see the whole treadmill as a system, not parts, motors, rollers, belts, decks, those things. So it's a challenge to kind of take on a goal like that. But when you have users on machines, walking or running, where do people walk and land? People love to hug the front of the treadmill. So we've designed this to be orthopedically, we believe, the best. Because when you land up front with your shoe, that's the softest place. The further back you go, it's still soft. It's just not as soft in the front. And as your shoe lands and you go back farther, there's great lateral support for the push-off, and it's really that simple. And I think Stan Goldfader may have had something to do with that design, who's retired from True.
That's known as our SOFT system. So the SOFT system, Frank patented in 1992. SOFT is an acronym for Shock Absorbing Orthopedically Correct Foot Plant Transfer System, and he hit the nail on the head on that one. He mentioned about how most of the impact forces are toward the front of the treadmill, and it gets firm as you push off. And the great thing is, if you don't, it absorbs your shock, but it doesn't have the trampoline effect that some treadmills out there have. You can't really feel the shock absorption, but it is happening, and it doesn't distribute up into your
A
body.
lot of the competitors' treadmill, the middle of the deck is the sweet spot where it's softer, but that's not where people land with their front foot walking or running. But when you combine that with what we decided to do with the motor and the flywheel, the rollers get computer balanced at the factories anyway. But what we did was we were computer balancing flywheels on motors, I think in 1985, 86, and we can continue to do it because that's what gives the natural feel. All the vibration is taken out, and we land your feet, compare it even to slat treadmills. We have got the smoothest, most natural running surface you can have. And the reason, and it's consistent from machine to machine. I think Jared joined, you've been here how many years?
8 years.
8 years. Well, it's probably 2 years ago. I said, Jared, take the motor cover off a 900 treadmill and turn it up to 12 miles an hour. And he did. And the motor cover was lifted up, and I said, Jared, put your finger on the motor and tell me if you can tell it's running. And he did. And what did you find out? You couldn't tell it was running.
Yeah.
That's what the difference in this computer balancing makes.
That's great. So what does that do for a treadmill with all that, the less vibration? I mean, you can go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so by balancing the motor independent, then we balance the motor with the flywheel, computer balance it. There's less vibration, less wear and tear on the bearings, longer life, longer durability. At the same time, again, that vibration going up into the machine, vibration and noise and heat. I mean, those are engineering wastes. So anytime you feel vibration, you hear the noise, you feel the heat. All those things are just wasted energy. So the more you can get rid of that, the more power, the more energy you can actually put into just pushing the belt. So big benefits there.
Speak to power factor.
Yeah, so this machine, when we came out with these in 2017, these are the first ones we introduced with power factor correction. So all of the treadmills up until then basically ran off a regular motor control system, which is only about 65% efficient. If you think about efficiency, you can only pull a certain amount of energy out of the wall. So that 65% efficiency means that only 65% of that energy you're pulling from the wall goes into turning the belt. The rest is wasted, noise, heat, mostly heat. Our new system we put in there actually does a lot better job of taking care of that wasted heat, so we're actually running closer to 90%. So what that means is that same energy you're pulling out of the wall, you can now have bigger users, you can go faster speeds. It's the reason this treadmill will go up to 17 miles per hour.
That's great.
What else, Randy?
Well, since I was speaking from the mind of a gym manager, a gym operator, just looking at the treadmill, one of the first things I notice is the low step-up height. Jared, the step-up height is
7 inches.
So it's 7 inches. Our bodies are conditioned to step up about 8 inches. That's the normal rise of a step or a stairwell. So to have it a little bit lower, it increases, to me, for the safety of your users to get on and off the machine. A certain population might have difficulty getting up on the machine. And when you're fatigued, when you step off the machine, how you have those sea legs and you step off and you're fatigued, that lower step-up height is going to reduce the occurrence for any injury. Another thing I noticed when I step up on this treadmill is the running surface. Jared, what's going on with the running surface?
Yeah, so we're a true 23 inch by true 62 inch. So, a lot of people when they measure from the top of the roller to top of the roller, well, that's not usable space. So what we do is we actually measure the usable surface, and we go to a true 62 inches. So all that area is area that you can use.
And it's a little bit, it's wider too than standard.
And it's
right?
wider.
You know, again, I had a customer come in, and he was larger frame dude, and he said that he noticed it right away, because he said when he trains and works out and he gets fatigued, he tends to drift side to side, and he noticed it immediately. It was great. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to mention that aspect because he himself experiences that. So I think that's a great user benefit regarding
Randy,
the size.
that was part of development back in the, probably even the late 80s, where as runners, and we had been running outdoors for years, and then we transitioned on the treadmill for so many different reasons. But the width of that belt, we realized, had a lot to do with the runner, walker not having to think about, you know, staying in alignment on the console. So that's also why we put these reference marks. If you glance down, you could see where you were. But obviously, the wider the belt, the less concentration it takes.
Sure, yeah. Added safety for the members. Another thing I noticed is our signature aluminum straddles, aluminum side straddles. Jared, what do we decide to use aluminum for all our commercial units?
Yeah, so we choose not to go, you know, there's other routes that people go. You can go with plastic, you can go with different materials. We specifically go with aluminum for the firmness, for the rigidity. You don't want to feel like you're stepping on the edge. When people have a tendency to step on the edge here, they can feel that area bending down. So we actually take aluminum, extrude it out into the shape we want, and then we put it through an anodizing process to make it black. And then we put it through a third process to actually polish it to give it that nice mirror finish. So it's a very expensive piece, but we think it's worth it.
So it's super durable.
Extremely
basically.
durable.
You know, today there's a lot of people that are doing HIIT training, whether it's in a small group class or training for themselves. And one of the things that they have to do during these high intensity intervals is bail out onto the side straddles. So over time, you know, some of these treadmills that I've seen out in gyms, the plastic gets a little creaky. Cracking could occur. They get noisy in general, but these are really firm, and I appreciate that in terms of what's happening in the gyms today, and they look great too.
Yep.
So let's see. Is there anything else, Frank, about your treadmill that they need to know about?
Well, we could touch on our philosophy going really back from the beginning that continues on accelerated life testing, beta testing. So we were doing life testing in my brother's basement with a small belt decks, testing every material you could imagine, Teflon, UHMW, wood, all anodized aluminum, everything. But that also tested the rollers, the bearings, the motor, the bearings in the motor, all kinds of software, a lot of different technologies at the same time. So Jared kind of spearheads that with his team, but everything is getting accelerated life testing, and we do not make changes in components to save money just like that. We'd love to, but for a change to happen, it's got to go through life testing and beta testing. Yeah. So maybe you can share some of the other products we've developed that, you know, with the processes.
Yeah, I mean, to Frank's point, I mean, our life testing, our accelerated life testing, I mean, we're testing to the 90th percentile weight male on everything we do at high speeds. So I mean, we're testing about as extreme as you can get. On top of that, even after a product is released, we go back and we're continually testing different things. So anything we come up with, any ideas we come up with, we put on our accelerated life test. If somebody walked into our facility today and walked past our testing room, they'd actually see a TC900 testing different components. So even though we've come out with a product, we're continually trying to make that product better.
Yeah, I'll also mention, we were making commercial treadmills in 87, 88 with two and a half horse DC motors. So there was a lot we made for a private label for a company, and I think some of our distributors will remember the 980 treadmill, you know, and all of that began our learning experience on, you know, the commercial market that we later really entered in 99, I think, with bikes first, then elliptical. So we've been doing it quite a while.
Jared, you touched on beta site testing. What is that to the viewers?
Yeah, so typically what we do with any new product, you know, anywhere 5 to 6 months before we release that product to the public, we'll take production machines and we'll send them all over the country. So we go look for different climates, different humidity levels, different user bases. We're looking for high use clubs, low use clubs, something near a beach, something hot, cold. And what we're trying to do is get the machine out into a real world test, something that we can't test from a machine. We want people touching on it. We want people pressing buttons, doing things that they typically shouldn't be doing, all in an effort so that when you launch the product day one, you don't have that initial spike of quality issues that come out of it. You want to make sure that the machine that comes out day one is going to be as good as the machine that's coming out year two.
Regarding safety,
A good example of that, sorry to interrupt, is a Palisade, right?
Correct.
Yeah, there's a product that took how long?
Yeah, we spent almost 3 years on that product.
Yeah.
6 months of that, we were ready to ship, but we spent 6 months of that just in beta site testing.
a climber, yes, our step miller climber.
Yep.
Yeah. Not only the treadmill, but all of our equipment. Talk about our safety certification and our standards for safety on all their machines.
Yeah, so every product we release has to go through different certifications. So people in the United States, you'll know UL from anything electronics. We have CSA for Canada. We have EN 957, which is now ISO 20957, which is a European safety standard. We look towards ASTM, which is American safety standard. Every single one of our products that we release has to be certified by a third party. So we do the internal certification, but then we send it out to a third party and let them do the certification as well. And they're checking everything from electrical safety to flammability of our plastics to just structural durability of it.
Safety.
And that applies to the Palladium and all the strength
Absolutely.
products, right? So
Absolutely.
another quite a project that you developed.
Yes, it has been.
So safety, another little factoid. I believe 1987, Frank, patent came out for the safety removal safety key. The True. It's on a True treadmill, right?
Yeah, safety keys at that time were more for residential. I mean, we know commercially a lot of people who do not use it, but it became a child-proofing method because so many people are walking, running, their kids are nearby, and when they leave, there were quite a few stories of, in fact, I have one come to mind, where the ball goes under, gets sucked under, and kids grab it, and then they start getting chewed up by the belt. So the safety key that way could be removed, stored somewhere, hopefully.
See, that's a cool feature
Yeah.
because now everybody has safety keys. So
Yeah, we're supposed to use this, but we have to provide it, right?
right. One final question. I think it applies to all of our cardio equipment. Jared, how many console options are available for the treadmill? We'll start with the
So
treadmill.
for our treadmills, we have 6 consoles, 2 different low-end consoles, and then a whole range going all the way up to touchscreens with asset management.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that's our great treadmill. I think it's time to move on to our elliptical, right next door here. So Frank, our elliptical here, it looks really different from what most people are accustomed to, but I mean, what was the design concept that you had with our elliptical?
Randy, I think it's similar to everything we do at True. We were trying to create a product that's unique, had advantages, from a capital investment with floor space. Obviously you can see it takes up about half the space of others. It's rear entry. But the most important point was how were we going to replicate natural running, walking, jogging? And I think that's what we accomplished. So it's got just a great feel. Then we added the upper body to it and the side step that was innovative in the industry, so users can get a total body workout. And there's you can even use the coach, what do we call it?
Cardio 360.
Cardio 360 to get a total workout. So that's kind of, keep it simple. That's the name of the game, I think, with every product.
You mentioned a Cardio 360. That is pretty much a virtual trainer that we offer standard on our elliptical no matter what console you have. You can have the high-end console where there's actual video and instructions of this particular workout. And the lower-end consoles also offer verbal or written out instructions on how to do the workout. So the Cardio 360 allows you to do, or it kind of instructs you to do various different movements on our elliptical. most notably, that's different from other ellipticals, is the upper body only motion. So it'll give you instructions to do upper body only. It'll tell you to do one arm only. It'll tell you to do legs only. So you got the safety rails here to do just your legs. It just takes you through a program, and the time goes by really fast. It's a neat little feature.
It's about a dozen different things that will prompt you to do for 30, 40 seconds each, right?
Yeah, right. All that, you know, because we have the side straddles, there's no other elliptical in the commercial market that offers that feature. So not only is it good for upper body only, but it's good for safety. So if you mount the, if you get in and get on the machine from the back, if your balance is a little off as a user, then you can start off, maintain your balance here first, safety rails, get on the foot skates. Our central, or our, one of the other reasons why we're able to accomplish the shorter footprint that Frank mentioned, and the side rails, is because our core drive system, so we're a center drive elliptical unit. Our mechanism is directly underneath the feet. Frank mentioned that we needed to come up with a natural feel, and this particular mechanism really helps a lot with that. So it's pretty much everything that's featured on this is based on this particular mechanism.
Randy,
core
I
drive
think,
system.
just to mention, I think one of the challenges, problems with ellipticals in that category was people's feet were going numb, especially, you know, the toes and the ball of the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something we wanted to solve, and we accomplished that. Jared, maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so the foot skate pads that are in there, they're not just a rubber material, they're not just a plastic extrusion. They're actually a very soft material with a hard outer shell. Only one company in the world we found that can do this, and it's actually a company that makes soles for shoes. So they actually make the same material out of the soles of your shoe that we have on the outer part of that foam foot skate. So the goal is, you know, durability number one. You know, we talked to them about durability. They said, hey, our shoes are meant to, you know, last, run over concrete, rock, gravel, you name it. It's going to experience, you know, pretty much any sort of abrasion that you can imagine. So don't worry about these ever failing. They said they're going to last forever. And then the interior is a foam complex, which allows you to have that little bit of cushion to it. So it's the best of both worlds. Like I said, one company in the world that we found to make them, and they've been making them for us for a lot of years. In fact, we put all those foot skates in there at True, so into every box before they ship out, just because the company is here in the United States with us.
So for the viewers, it just feels like an anti-fatigue mat type feeling. So it's cushioned, but it's still firm to where you don't feel like you're on a mushy surface. You know, that I love it when customers come in and I ask them, are they regular elliptical users? And then when they say yes, I ask them, do they ever experience a foot numbness? 9 times out of 10, they say yes. After about 20, 30, 40 minutes, they really start to feel that. I said, get on this. They feel it instantly, and they fall in love with that simple yet detailed feature that we have for our elliptical. So, nice work, Frank.
Nice work, Jared.
Shall we move on to the bikes? We got a little bit more time to
Sure.
go over our bikes, our 900 series bikes. So this is our recumbent bike. And I think some of the standout features for this recumbent bike is the fact that I'll have Jared show us and talk a little bit about this particular feature, because no other recumbent in this price segment or category is able to offer this. Again, it's a little attention to detail that we chose to do.
Yeah, so on the recumbent bike, we have an infinitely variable seat back. So, you know, other bikes you can select 1, 2, 3 positions, but on this one you can essentially pick any range you want, all the way back to more or less an extreme incline. But yeah, it's a very unique feature for us. We're pretty proud of it. Like I said, you can be as vertical as you want, or you can be as horizontal as you want, but anywhere along that range you can have it. You know, something as simple, the attention to detail, you know, the foot pedals. When you get off of this, the way the foot pedals are balanced, they're always facing you. You know, they're not sitting straight up like some people are. You just slide your foot right in. You know, if you look at our recumbent bike versus our upright bike, you'll notice that those sit more vertically. Again, you put your foot in from the top versus putting your foot in from the front.
So I appreciate that aspect on the recumbent bike, because a lot of users, you know, the back, the reclining seat back is really good for users who have mobility issues. They may have some, you know, females that are pregnant may find it more comfortable to use the reclining seat. Other people have limitations in their hip or whatnot. But the pedal thing is so simple. But me as a trainer back in the day, how many times I've had to help someone stick their foot in a pedal that was upside down because the straps were on the other side. I did it thousands of times, so that's just a neat little easy feature. And they're two-sided, so if you don't want to strap in, you can flip it around and you got the same surface. So that's one little detail that we like to point out with this with our recumbent. Same with all other cardio pieces. We can choose different consoles based on your facility needs, ranging from a very simple, easy-to-use console to our asset management touchscreen that offers internet access, and eventually we'll be able to mirror and watch television on it as well. The bike, attention to detail. Jared, can you tell us a little bit about the story, or Frank, the story about our bike and the seat post?
Jared did the hard work.
Yeah, so
You explained it.
yeah, so the
Became a much bigger project than anyone ever imagined.
you know, the running joke is it's just a bike, but again, the attention to detail, doing things one up versus what everybody else does is always critical. So, you know, the majority of the time spent here, you know, is a seat post. You know, it doesn't seem like much, but when you're somebody on one of these bikes, especially if you're one of the taller users or you used a road bike and you like to keep that seat up high, the key is making it easy to slide, but at the same time avoiding that seat wobble. You know, so we spent months and months just coming up with the design of that mechanism and picking out that material to make it a nice firm seat.
You know, the seat wobble, you always got that one person that has no resistance, they're going 100 miles per hour, and the seat is clacking back and forth, and you're like, oh, you get so distracted by it. But these seats are solid. Our seat itself is, the way we did the cushioning on it, it's very comfortable. So again, it's a nice little small attention to detail.
Are we wrapping it up, Randy?
Well, I actually know what I want to do is open it up for any questions that the viewers might have regarding our 900 series.
Randy, let's bring the camera over and let everybody see the rest of the showroom, including the our Palladium line, which is right up front.
Yeah, we got a lot of toys.
Angie, are you getting questions?
I do. I have some questions from the audience. So, Buddy would like to know, is the 23-inch wide belt on the 900 still exclusive to True?
That's a good question. I don't have that answer. I think we still are, but I don't want to give the wrong answer on it.
Okay, we'll get back to Buddy.
Right.
Okay, and then I have another question. It's, do the consoles have IPTV options in cardio for hospitality projects?
Yes.
So, we do have that available.
Yes, on our consoles that have TV, so our higher end consoles.
Okay.
Can everybody hear what Angie's saying? Good.
And then Mike would like to know, can we color customize the cardio equipment?
Yeah, we've done it for people in the past, so I just recommend talking to your salesperson.
Okay. Stephanie would like to know, what is the weight limit on the 900 treadmill?
I believe we rate it for 450 pounds.
Okay. And Arthur would like to know about the elliptical. Does it have adjustable stride? If so, what is the range?
So the XC900 doesn't. The Spectrum does. Randy, if you want to touch on the Spectrum.
Yeah, our Spectrum it's an adjustable stride of 13 to 30 inches. So that's kind of in the background over there. It's essentially pretty close to the same design and footprint and same features like the rear entry, the side straddles, the cushion foot pads, a Cardio 360, but that will adjust. And it's a fixed adjustable stride. So it's not user directed. You set it and forget it to whatever stride length you want.
But it goes from a stepping to sort of a jogging to a running.
Stepping to an elliptical to a full run,
And
a full
it's,
stride.
you're pushing a button. There's a motor that's moving it, right?
Yep.
I have another question for Brian. He wants to know, what is the treadmill warranty?
That's a good question. I'm in the engineering. I don't deal with that. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, that's our sales guys who know that information really well. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay.
Well, they're 3 years,
Yes.
parts and labor.
The frame is lifetime. So we will get back to him on the details of the warranty. I do know it is pretty good for the industry. Ulrika would like to know, what is the resistance range for the bikes?
So they go up to 600 watts. I believe they start at 20, 25 watts, somewhere on there. It's hard to get resistance at a low speed, but it's pretty low. I mean, there's pretty much no resistance on it. Goes all the way up to 600 watts.
Does that depend on the display at all?
No, just not independent of the display. So any
Okay.
display will get that same 600 watt range.
One thing to note about that too is it takes very little power or startup to activate the machines that are self-generated. It takes very little, like 20 RPM or lower,
Correct.
20 watts.
Yeah.
So for those who have issues with people getting on the bikes and they can't turn on the unit because they don't have enough physical capacity, ours turn on the very low.
Yeah, we actually drive off of a battery. So when you start the pedals up, you're not actually generating the energy to start the console. It actually just activates the battery inside of it. So that way you're not having to power the machine to start it up.
And then Eric would like to know, will 15 miles per hour ever be a standard on commercial treadmills?
Well, actually, on our TC900, 17 miles per hour is the standard on that particular model.
Correct.
As for in the industry, perhaps not my call.
Yeah, it's all.
Jared, I'll ask you a question on speed. Can you adjust, can the end user, the facility, change the top speed?
Correct. Yeah, we added that feature in, probably about a year ago. Back to the continuous improvement. So yeah, on our consoles, you can actually adjust the top speed. We had different clubs. Sometimes they want to limit the top speed at 10 miles per hour for safety for their members. So there's actually an option in the back end of all of our consoles, so you can limit the incline and speed top ends.
Okay, so that answers part of the question Dave sent in. He asked about the speed, the max speed, but he was also asking about the incline.
The incline on the 900 is 18% max incline.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, and we actually have some more detailed information about that warranty. The frame is lifetime, the motor is 5 years, the parts are 3, and the labor is 3. So, there you go. And let's see, Don is asking, would the 900 treadmill be good for a running studio, and why?
Do you want to answer that one?
So for the small group training, I'm thinking is probably the question. Yes, it would be perfectly fine for that setting, especially with the higher speeds, the larger deck, and the safety of the height of the step-up height. It's going to have enough power and durability for a running studio.
Yep.
I would add quiet to a small,
and
small
quiet.
facility like that.
Yeah,
It's-
and we have the Ignite console pretty much meant for that.
So this one is specifically for Frank from Jeff. He wants to know, do you still run? Or if you don't, what do you do to keep in shape?
I gave up my running about 20 years ago, but I still do it on the tennis court. And last year I had a Fitbit, and I was usually, if it's accurate, running 4.5 miles in an hour and a half. So
Nice.
didn't mean I won, but,
Yeah.
but I got a great cardio workout. So that's the beauty of interval training. Tennis is hard to beat.
Okay, and I just got one more question unless anybody else wants to send something in. Actually, I got 2 more now. Okay, so the next question from John is, does the cardio equipment have anything for HR or for heart rate monitoring?
Yeah, we have both contact. We have contact, wireless, and the wireless is both the radio receiver like Polar, and then also Bluetooth heart rate. So we do all 3.
Okay. And then last question from Mark, what piece of cardio does True sell the most of?
As a category or single SKU?
Well, I guess if we can answer both.
David, do you know the answer to that?
I'd say treadmills are
My
probably the
guess-
It would
top
be the
selling
treadmill,
category
yep.
for us.
Treadmills, for
Yep.
Be
sure.
the treadmill.
For sure.
Yep.
Which commercial tread?
And I think it's between the 900 and the 650. I think they're both pretty head to head.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 650 is essentially just a little bit narrower and a little bit shorter than the 900.
Okay. And then Ulrika has another question. Would like to know about the bikes. Can you choose between real bike mode and constant watt resistance?
Yes. Yeah, we have both options in there. So standard, we have bike mode as the standard option, but then if you want to run constant watts, you can do that as well.
Okay. So that is the last of our questions right now. Last call for if anybody wants to send any in. Otherwise, we can probably go ahead and sign off.
Great. Well, guys,
Thank you for listening and watching, everybody.
so thank you very much for viewing. And our next episode for number 5, 5th episode, right? We're going to go over our Atlas HD. That's our group training system. It's our bigger group training system. That'll be 2 weeks from today. So tune in for that. It'll be a neat piece to show you guys its versatility and some of the unique features and benefits it has compared to other group training systems. In the meantime, Frank, do you have any parting words for your fans?
Question, will that next symposium be downstairs? Is that where the HD is? Or how are you doing that?
It's a surprise.
Surprise, all right. That's good. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate it. Appreciate everyone's business who are customers and all our distributors who are customers.